Hey everybody, my name is Nicholas Walker, and I have a question for y'all. Have you ever heard of a sports team that had a 26-10 record and still won the national championship title? Well, if not, then you're about to embark on one of the greatest Cinderella team stories in all sports history. According to the article Look Back at the Cardiac Pack, a quote from Thomas H. Stafford Jr., who was a former vice chancellor for student affairs, says, and I quote, "The 1983 Wolfpack run to the national championship was one of the most improbable and exciting events that I recall during my years at NC State. Being on campus during that time provided the opportunity of being a part of the excitement that built as the underdog Wolfpack won 3 ACC and then 6 NCAA tournament games for the national championship. I still remember how each improbable victory led to a larger and more spirited celebration, as well as a belief that maybe the Wolfpack could go all the way. The final celebration on the Brickyard in Hillsborough Street was absolutely unbelievable." So today I want to explain the 3 reasons that helped lead this team to the national championship title. First, I want to start with Jim Valvano, who was the head coach at the time. Jim Valvano was not only an extraordinarily great coach, but he was also known for being a great motivational speaker. He was also known for creating the Jimmy V Foundation, in which this foundation helped raise money for the particular cancer that he was diagnosed with. He was a man that lived by his motto, in which he quotes, "Don't give up, don't ever give up, Jimmy V." According to the article Remembering Jim as a Player, Coach, Broadcaster, and Fighter, he once said during the ESPY speech in 1993, and I quote, "To me, there are 3 things that everyone should do every day. Number 1 is laugh. Number 2 is to think. Spend some time in thought. And number 3 is you should have your emotions move to tears. If you laugh, think, and cry, that's a heck of a day. You do that 7 days a week, you're going to have something special. Jimmy V." This really shows you what type of person Jimmy V was. He was the type of person that knew what to say at the right time. Another quote during this ESPY speech, in which he says, and I quote, "The very first time you stood in the locker room to give a pep talk, that's a special place, the locker room. For a coach to give a talk, you do your little X's and O's, and then you give the great Canuck Rockney talk. We all do. Speech number 84. You pull them right out. You get ready, you get your squad ready." That also shows what type of person he was. He got his squad ready, and this helped lead them to the victory. The second thing that I want to talk about is how the Cardiac Pack team came together during the right time. And this consisted of their 4 key players. First was Thurl Bailey, Lorenzo Charles, Derek Wittenberg, and Sidney Lowe. Derek Wittenberg and Thurl Bailey were their top scorers on the team, followed by Lorenzo Charles being a great defensive player and Sidney Lowe being a great all-around player. According to the article NC State Was a Team of Destiny in 1983, Thurl Bailey once said, and I quote, "We really started to groove at the right time." Bailey said, "Sidney was our floor leader, Derek was the leader who got in your face when you needed it, and I was more the go out on the floor and prove it guy. I tried to get to be ready every single night and demanded that from everyone else. But you can't be a good leader without people who want to listen and follow you." Thurl Bailey. And he was absolutely right. One of the reasons that this team got the nickname Cardiac Pack was because of their tight buzzer beater wins against many of the teams during the tournament. According to the article 1983 NCAA Tournament Bracket Scores, Stats, and Records, here are some statistics that I would like to share with y'all about how close some of the games were during the NCAA tournament. The first game consisted of NC State playing Pepperdine, in which they went into double overtime, in which NC State won 69-67. The second game followed by NC State playing UNLV, in which they won 71-70. And then the third game, NC State played Utah 75-56. The fourth game consisted of NC State playing Virginia, in which they won 63-62. The fifth game consisted of NC State playing Georgia, and NC State having 67 and Georgia 60. And then the last game against the Houston Cougars, in which NC State won 54-52. So as you can tell, many of the games were very, very close in score, in which meant that it could have went either way. And the last thing that I want to talk about is number 3, which is the famous 30-foot shot that led to a dunk, in which helped the NC State Wolfpack defeat the Houston Cougars in the national championship title game. This 30-foot shot consisted of the duo, which consisted of Lorenzo Charles and Derek Wittenberg, in which Derek Wittenberg threw up a 30-foot shot in which he came slightly but closely short to the rim, in which Lorenzo Charles grabbed the ball and put it back in for a slam dunk. With only seconds remaining, this shot led them to the victory, in which the Houston Cougars had no time to react to this shot. After the shot, this helped led to Jimmy V, the famous Jimmy V looks for a hug. This consisted of, after the putback dunk, Jimmy V was in complete shock and did not know what to do and just started running like a little kid on the floor. Everybody always says, who sees him, says that he's looking for somebody to hug, and that's true. He's looking for somebody to hug, but he's just in shock. He just doesn't know what to do. So in conclusion, the 3 reasons that helped lead this team was the great motivational speaker and coach, Jim Valvano, the hot score streak that led the NCAA basketball team, Wolfpack, to the championship during the tournament, and then the famous 30-foot shot that helped win the final game against the Houston Cougars. Not many stories end in all happy ending, but this one is a good one to end with the little guy winning on top. Whether you're a big sports fan or not, there's not many stories in which the underdog wins. And like the great Jimmy V once said, don't give up, don't ever give up. Go Pack.